Unfortunately, this has become rampant on digital media and especially podcasts. I think it's incredibly hurting our medium. It's hurting the guests, it's hurting the hosts, and it's hurting the listeners. Now, let me give you some examples on this. So, you go on a podcast to build your business, to build your brand. And if you steal other people's ideas, you're not going to be seen as an expert. You're going to be seen as a thief. And let me contrast this in two different ways. First of all, let's talk about an expert. There is a man named Richard Feynman. If you haven't heard of him, go ahead and Google him. He's written some hilarious books. He's also gotten a Nobel Prize in physics. The guy's super off the charts. Now, back in the 60s, he did a lecture at USC that basically explained physics. It explained all of science. And it was a mandatory course. And I'm so glad that they recorded it because it's free. It's almost like you could say one of the early podcasts out there. And when Dr. Feynman did this, the entire lectures was this person discovered this. This person built on that discovery and they did this. This person refined it. And he doesn't talk all of that much about his work, right? It might be one sentence in 10 hours of lectures, but he sounds like the expert. He is the expert. He's read all of the studies. He's either met some of these people that he talks about, he's studied them, he can connect all the dots. Now, no one would expect that the professor that goes up and is the expert in physics would have invented everything, but they show their expertise when they cite the original source so people can go back and look at that, or at least tip their hat to the people they've learned it from. I'm always impressed by people that do that. I look at them as the real experts. Now, let's flip this around to something else that happened. About a year ago, there was a comedian by the name of Nicole Arbor, funny lady, and she did a video that went viral. It called out an influencer for plagiarism. And basically, the title of this viral video was, "This person is full of SHIT." That's what it was. And it went viral. And she would take a quote that he said and put it up there. And then she would take the quote of the person that originally said it and put it up there. And sometimes he was quoting Martin Luther King, Gandhi, all kinds of different people, some of them dead, other ones were alive. And she just basically said, "You're a thief, you're a liar." And it really hurt him. And, to his credit, since then, he started to attribute quotes that he puts out there. And, hopefully it's a learning lesson. And I was hoping it would be a learning lesson for our entire industry. But yet I still see it and I still hear about it in podcasts. Now, let me give you an example. Last year, I was listening to a podcast, great podcast. And all of a sudden I heard this person talking about how you should procrastinate on purpose. And this is something that he always teaches to his one-on-one students, to his masterminds. And he talks about the importance of procrastinating on purpose and how he's got this whole framework to go through it. And it actually helps you multiply your time. I was listening to this, pulling my hair out. I'm like, procrastinate on purpose, multiply your time. That whole framework, that's not his idea. It's Rory Vaden's idea. It was published in a book in 2015, and I actually got an early copy of it from Rory in early 2015. And yet this guy in 2019 is out there talking about it's his idea, and he just totally ripped it off from there. I was so incensed that I bought a copy of the book and sent it to the host and said, "Hey, I was listening to your interview. Really liked that interview you did with this person, and especially on procrastinating on purpose. While he summarized it very well, it's not his idea. He stole that from a book, and this book that's attached." And I sent it to him. That host reached out to me afterwards and said, thank you. I didn't know that. And he pulled that interview. He pulled that interview because he said, if he'll lie on this, what else is he lying about? And he said, if you caught that, how many other of my listeners are caught that and just said, wow, the host looks bad on that. It's their reputation that goes on that. So this is my rant. Podcast deserves better. Podcast, if we're going to be looked at favorably, like journalism, like education, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. If you plagiarize in journalism, your career is over. If you steal something from somebody, it's over. In education, you want to end a tenured career, just plagiarize, right? It's one thing to steal somebody's money. It's another thing to steal their idea, to steal what they have worked on for years. I'm sure Rory worked on this thought and this idea for years. He put the book out there for the entire world, and then somebody has the gall to intimidate or to flatter them by stealing their ideas. No, it's theft. It needs to be called out. We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. If you're a podcast host, please don't allow it to happen to your audience or to your platform. And if you are a guest, be an expert, be professional. If you've read something, if you've heard something, if you got an idea from somewhere else, let them know where it came from. If you don't know where it came from, acknowledge that. Say, well, I'm not sure. I remember reading this in a book, but that whole idea of that first time you can say, as I read in this book, the second time you can say, as I've heard, and the third time you can say, well, as I've always said. No, that's theft. It's theft. It's poor character, and it needs to be stopped in podcasting. Raise the standard. Be a professional. That's what podcasting needs. And if you do that, man, you are going to stand out as a podcast guest. Has obscurity become your biggest problem? Stages have disappeared. Conferences are canceled. In-person meetings seem like a distant memory. Your prospective customers still need you. They still need to hear from you. Stop trying to break through the noise. It's not working. Get in on the conversation. Get featured as the expert guest on targeted podcast interviews. Podcasts are hot. Listenership is up 20% in 2020. Podcasts are the new digital stage. Leverage other people's established platform as a featured guest. Since 2015, Interview Valet has helped over 500 leading brands get featured on over 20,000 podcast episodes. You're the guest. We take care of the rest. Stop being the best kept secret. Find out how we can help you leverage targeted podcast interviews to get heard, to grow your brand, to grow your sales, to be recognized as the market leader.